Oh my gosh, I'm so anxious.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
What is the real reason I'm anxious and how do I calm my nervous system? Oh wait, that's the title of this video, Mended Life. Okay, all joking aside, it's hard to get rid of anxiety.
Yeah.
You try and self-soothe, you try and work through it, and you can still feel not just stress, but panic. So why is it that we struggle to get rid of those feelings, work through those feelings, and what can we do about it?
Here's the thing. Your body is still holding the trauma. Anxiety often lingers because the nervous system remembers past danger even when the present is safe. Trauma gets stored in the body as hypervigilance, shallow breathing, and tension. And maybe you've tried to think your way out of your body's protection response. So talk therapy and rationalizing can miss the body's role in anxiety and really in all mental health challenges. You can't outthink a survival response.
Super Clip to the rescue. That's me, I'm Super Clip. This is from the television series The Chosen, which is a biblical show, but honestly, it's a show that a third of its audience is not religious people because they just like the show.
Yeah.
And in this interpretation, Mary Magdalene is a victim of trauma because she was assaulted by Roman soldiers. So here she is, and she's done a lot of work, she's done a lot of healing, she's in a very peaceful place, and she is triggered.
Then you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in the...
Drops what she's doing, but then also this is a very accurate representation of what a trauma trigger feels like and looks like. Because she was in a place of peace and safety and not worried and feeling like she had arrived at a really good, solid place, and now she's right back to where she was. And we talk about this a lot. One of our definitions of trauma is feeling like your world is safe and then that's ripped out.
Right.
And
something happens.
Something happens and your world is no longer safe.
Yeah.
And you can do a lot of work and a trigger hits and suddenly it's like all that work feels like it's erased. Now it hasn't been, but in that moment, the same amount of fear, the same amount of panic, the same amount of anxiety, and that feeling of helplessness and overwhelm. I think this is a wonderfully acted scene for what that looks like.
Here's something to remember, and this is powerful in my own learning and healing journey. And because I'm a thinker personality type, like I need to understand. Other personality types don't have that need as strong. Like it's helpful. But for me, the understanding of like, hey, that's how my body was actually created. That's how all of our bodies were created. If we have an experience where we do not have the capacity to process it in the moment, then our body stores it. And we were wired to do that.
Yeah.
So that we can then later take the time to process it. The challenge is if we don't know that one, that's the way we were created, that's the way we were wired, and it's healthy, it's easy to judge ourselves. And then we don't know what to do with the pain.
What's wrong with me instead of, oh no, this is how I'm wired.
Yeah. And then we don't know what to do with the pain. Not only did we not know what to do with the pain in the moment, we keep going back to not knowing what to do with that pain, right? And then we're triggered or we have an experience that reminds us of that. And here's what I compare it to, is like we're driving in a car, right? And we're driving down the street and life is normal. And then the brake lights go off of the car in front of you, right? And a normal, healthy response is to very quickly, push on your own brakes. But what happens if it's a trigger response, and here's the thing, it can be anything that reminds you of that past experience, right?
Yeah.
So it could be if you were in an abusive relationship and the person drove a certain kind of car, it could be seeing that car. It could be a color. It could be a sound.
It could be a song. It could be a smell. It could be...
Right. And so what happens is for everyone else, the world is going on as normal. It wasn't a trigger. Nothing happened for everyone else. But for you, the brake lights went off, you went into a trauma response, your nervous system was elevated, and whatever form of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn that looks like, right? And so in Mary's situation, in that scene we saw, she ran and she hid, and then she started to shake and panic, and she crumpled the paper, and it was multiple responses. And so the Roman soldiers, they weren't doing anything wrong. They were talking to each other, and then they left.
Yeah, they were oblivious that she was even there.
Right. And so for everybody else, the world goes on as normal. We're in this elevated space. We go to that elevated space, and then we don't calm back down.
Yeah.
And so for everyone else, they're like, I don't understand. What's the big deal? What's happening? Right? And then that just creates more disconnect.
Supportive ways to work through this: somatic practices like breath work, yoga, movement, and grounding that teach the body it is safe now, that the threat has passed. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to place a hand on your chest and one on your belly. You're going to take 5 slow breaths, letting the belly expand first, and whisper, I am safe at this moment. Now, that's how you work through the somatics. That's how you work through what's going on with your body. Obviously, if there is a clear and present danger, deal with that first, right? But if you can tell, I feel like I'm in danger, but there's actually not anything that's immediately threatening, you go into this space of soothing, because then you can assess, all right, what are my next steps so that I can feel safe and make sure I stay safe?
Right. And those practices help you teach your body it is safe now when the physical world around you is actually safe. You don't stop and do that when the physical world around you is not actually safe.
If you're in the ocean and there's a tiger shark, don't do somatic exercises. Just calmly exit the water.
I like the analogy. I like the analogy. So here's the next thing. Unspoken emotions are driving anxiety, depression, or any other mental health challenge or diagnosis, or as I like to say, growth opportunity. Here's why. Suppressed anger, grief, or fear can resurface as a mental health diagnosis. The body says no when it's feeling ignored, and healing must include, like we were just talking about, safe spaces to name emotions without judgment, feel them, and accept them so they can be released instead of staying stuck.
Another reason you may still be anxious is that you're overriding your boundaries. Constantly saying yes while neglecting your needs fuels mental health challenges because your nervous system is stuck in survival mode. All our emotions are just messengers, even messy emotions like anger. Emotions are a gift, so try asking yourself, what message is this emotion telling me? So healing is going to include boundary work and learning to honor the body's signals like fatigue, tension, and irritability. So here's what you're going to do. Notice one moment today when your body tightens. Ask yourself, what boundary is being crossed?
Okay, so this is a powerful one for me. By nature, I'm a closer. Maybe you know that if you
Closer personality type.
Yeah, if you've watched a video or two.
Yeah.
And then I grew up in a household that was very closer. There was strong closer traits, both from the maternal side and the paternal side.
For those who are just joining us on that, motivated by accomplishment and getting things done and being reliable.
Yeah. So they're the hustlers, and they come by it honestly. So I got a triple dose by nature and then by nurture. And so did all of my siblings. And so the in-laws at my house, they really love it. Anyway, but that's all to say, for the closer, a go-to emotion is anger. I'm going to be honest, there was a lot of anger in the house I grew up in, and it was not handled in a healthy way. And because of that, I vilified anger, right? And I was like, I'm not going to get angry and this isn't going to happen. And I spent in my adult life probably 7 years vilifying my anger before I realized that anger was my friend. And it was trying to tell me something. And while I didn't want to lash out in anger, and that's not supportive for me or anyone else, I needed to pay attention to what that anger was telling me. And so even now, when I feel those emotions in my body and I feel that anger, I'm like, oh, I'm betraying myself in some way. And my needs aren't being met. And I'm feeling angry about it. Yeah. What do I need to do? So 1, I stop betraying myself. And 2, I support myself. And 3, I express my needs in a healthy way. And how often in our society do we talk about anger like that? Like we don't, right? But it's the same for grief and for sadness and for so many other things. So another reason you could still be anxious is you're trying to heal alone instead of in community. This is important because isolation feeds mental health challenges in a negative and unsupportive way. Connection is medicine. Healing happens when we feel safe, and we are wired for connection. Co-regulation is a powerful healing support. It helps us build trust in the world around us by knowing there is safety in relationships we can rely on. Healing accelerates in safe groups, rituals, and community, and it needs to include group practices, shared spaces, and relationships. So how do we do this? Well, we share honest feelings, even uncomfortable and heavy ones, with someone who has shown that they have the capacity to show up with unconditional love. Let yourself be heard without trying to fix it.
Now, you may also be stuck in anxiety because you're still trying to earn love. Anxiety grows when we believe love depends on performance, approval, or fixing ourselves. So healing is going to focus on experiencing unconditional love. This can come first from others, but at some point it does need to come from within ourselves. So here's a way to do this. Look in the mirror and say, I am worthy, whole, and lovable as I am. And there's room for growth. Now, if you're still anxious or experiencing other mental health challenges, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your body, mind, and heart are asking for new ways of healing. Trauma-informed care teaches us that anxiety, depression, or any other mental health diagnosis is not a flaw, but a signal. When we listen with compassion, community, and real love, the nervous system can finally exhale, and we can find peace and joy in who we are.
So I have a question for you. Did anything we talk about change your perspective on anxiety, depression, or any other mental health diagnosis?
Yeah.
If it has, what was the light bulb moment for you? Share in the comments below.
Well, and also, there's only so much that we can cover in one video. We want to dive deeper with you on how to reset when you are triggered by trauma. We've got a trauma reset toolkit that we're offering to you absolutely free. The link is right here on screen, as well as in the description. You can click on it there. Until next time, folks, keep shining.
We need your light.